This is Amir Fatir, and this is part 4 of the MGT Fitrah Theory. Now, in order to reach the state of trance, or the state of alpha wave brain consciousness, or alpha brainwave state, then one of the easiest ways of doing it is by putting the three fingers together of your left hand. That's your thumb, your middle finger, and your index finger together. The tips together. And then look upward at an angle of about 23 degrees. That's like you're looking up through the top of your eyebrows. And then you count backwards from 100 mentally. 100, 99, 98, 97, slowly backwards until you reach 0. When you reach 0, you're going to be in this alpha brainwave state of consciousness. You'll be in a state of trance. Sometimes it'll be light, sometimes it'll be very deep. You'll be in a very relaxed state. This is the state of consciousness that is encoded in the scripture as Miriam and also as Auset or Isis. This is a receptive state where now you can do two things. You can call up the programs that are operating in your subconscious, or you can also go and instill different programs or ideas, inclinations into the subconscious. And it is these programs that give birth to our behaviors and to the events that take place in the world. So that is why some mother goddesses, as they call them in scripture, are called the mother of all living. Eve is called the mother of all living in the Bible, and Auset is referred to that in the Egyptian scriptures because they both represent the same principle, the principle of being in that state of consciousness where your ideas or thoughts can be implanted like a seed to grow into the events that you want to experience in the world. The problem in the world for most of us is that other people with other motives have planted those seeds into us. The people in the Scientology, they call them engrams. And the yogis call them samskaras. And what they are, they're conditioning. They're like little computer programs or modules that begin to operate and to bring about events in our lives. The spiritual work that we're talking about is to return the power over these events to you yourself, so that you can program your own consciousness and your own mind and not rely upon the programs that other people would like you to operate off of. For example, subliminal advertising and other types of mental games that are played in the mass media are designed to implant seeds and ideas and concepts to make us purchase things, most of those things we don't even need, and many of the things are very harmful for us. And they use all types of sounds and light, colors, and even names to get us to relate positively to the things that they want us to purchase to their prosperity and often our own detriment. For example, they use various names of God, like Yahoo, which was an ancient Egyptian name for the God that they now call Yahweh or Jehovah. They also use Salem to sell you cigarettes. Salem means peace. It is a divine name of God, Salam. And so they use these names to get our defenses down so that we respond vibrationally in a positive way to something that's actually negative for us. And they use this technology all the time. So the work we're doing, when we're talking about the woman who is to be examined, we are examining all of the different seeds and programs and viruses that have been implanted into our subconscious and using the faculty of the MGT or the faculty of Miriam, the faculty of Auset, to go into this and to take these engrams of seeds out of us so that we can live a healthy and prosperous life. Well, after you count backwards from 100 and you reach that state is also scripturally called the garden. state, you can then chant mentally or aloud, Ong Bang Duhung. This is one of the chants that activates the Auset, it strengthens the Auset faculty, the Miriam faculty within yourself. And you can mentally or aloud ask Auset or ask Miriam to bring whatever conditioning is troubling you, to bring that out of your subconscious into your consciousness so you can get a good picture, an idea of what is going on in your life. This type of work is often called invocation. All of these things are the properties that belong to you. And these are the things that the ancient sisters developed and cultivated so they could have long, prosperous lives and bring prosperity to their communities. Unfortunately, we in America and around the modern world have lost many of these techniques, many of these arts and sciences, and the prevailing culture, which wants to keep us disempowered, scares us away from rediscovering our natural birthright. As the scripture says that Esau sold his birthright for a bowl of porridge. Well, we sold our birthright. These things that they try to tell us, stay away from. They tell us, oh, this is like voodoo. Well, those of us who know about the Nation of Islam should know that one of the earliest names of the nation, they called it the voodoo cult. And the leader of the voodoo cult was Master Farad Muhammad, who identified himself to the Detroit police as the chief of the voodoos. Now, this may sound strange until you realize that the very word voodoo means world peace. And it is a source from which many of the other religions that claim to be about peace have derived their understanding and their knowledge, but then they claim it for themselves and then try to cut themselves off from the roots of the tree that bore them. What we teach in Fitrah is peace. What we teach is peace is the means and the methodology by which we can achieve and attain all the good things in life. We achieve it through a mechanism of peace, and we will elaborate upon that as we go along. Now, the process that I am encouraging our sisters and our brothers to begin to cultivate can be called identify, objectify, and vanish. So the first thing we have to do is to identify whatever is causing us to have problems in our life. Whatever these conditionings, these engrams, these programs, whatever they are that are bothering us, we have to identify them. And once we expose them, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, the thing that the devil fears most is to be exposed. And when I was a young brother in the nation, we'd be teaching that they say, expose that devil. We must expose that devil right now. And I don't mean a devil walking around outside of you and me. I'm talking about a devil swimming around inside you and me. Everything that we have learned from the great and wonderful teachings of Master Farad Muhammad and from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad are true. They're true on a very deep and wonderful and majestic level. And unfortunately, the people who think that they are representing his teachings don't even really know his teachings. They don't have a clue about what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught. They can quote a few things, but they never allowed his teachings to reach down into the depths of their soul so they could now unleash the power that's within them. So everything he taught has to be understood on multiple levels. Light upon light, as the Quran speaks of in Surah 24. There are various levels. And so we start at a level that is true, that's closer to where we are, but there's a galactic level. There's levels in other dimensions. There's no end to the depths of the majesty of that brother's wisdom. And so as we teach that wisdom, we're not teaching that wisdom separate from the wisdom that's in the depository of all the black sciences, but we are showing that it is one of or one with those sciences that go back to ancient Kemet. It goes back to ancient Mu. It goes back to ancient Atlantis. It goes back to the Ethiopian Empire, the Sumerian Empire. It goes to Babylon. It goes to the people of Saba, where the Queen of Sheba was queen, and her great knowledge and wisdom exported itself all the way to the Ethiopian province in India, where it became known as the god Shiva. Shaba or Saba became Shiva amongst the Indian practitioners of Fitrah. And all of these Fitrah practitioners had their way, which was the way of peace, distorted into separate religions called Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism, and all these other isms. None of these isms are the truth, and they're grafted. And when we show the graftation of them, then we can retain that which is the true source and then let go of the grafted part. As Jesus said, the wheat and the tare grow up together, then you can separate them once you have identified what is wheat and what is tare. All right, so we're talking about identify, objectify, and vanish. So we have to identify these engrams, identify these programs. And once we identify these programs, we can begin to work on them. Now, you can think of these different afflictions as being like an imp, a little imp, a dragon, or a demon. Now, the imp is the smallest version or visualization of whatever the problem is, and a demon is a stronger one. It's more persistent. And a dragon is something that can be threatening to the very harmony and existence of your life. All right? Now, it's important to know something about the elements. And when I say the elements, I'm referring to the four primary elements that the ancients identified as the processes of energy and the processes of nature. So they're called earth, air, fire, and water. Earth element represents that which is solid and material. Air represents vitality. Fire represents vitality and passion. Water represents emotion and compassion, as well as the family. So, as you're beginning to search your soul and search your subconscious for these conditionings that are stopping you from expressing yourself as the majestic goddess that you are, when things come up from your subconscious to your conscious, you then have an opportunity to begin to work on it. In our next session, we will go further into the science and understanding of how to identify, objectify, and banish all the afflictions that have harmed us in our lives and that have prevented you from living a happy life, a good life, a powerful life, having money, good homes, and friendships in all walks of life, a loving husband and family, and whatever thing that you choose, success in your career. All these are yours, they're your birthright, and we want to return the power to you so that you can enjoy and exercise that which is yours by nature. Thank you. Tell all the rest of the sisters to tune in. We're not done. We will teach you levels of the MGT that have never been exposed before. Thank you for listening. Shalom.